what to use, which methods to use, which properties to choose in what one given application area. So this is why I paused in this quadrant and gave you a lot of GAN, so-called, because the real life scenario is not as smooth as you try to do discovery work and you get nice IC50 values and all of that. Of course, there are also yet the challenges. But if you are moving over to a non-pharma sector, this is the real life scenario. Anyway, let's speed up a bit now. So first row, second column, de novo design. Here, neither the ligand structure is known. Yes, of course, the protein structure is known. See, the protein structure is known by principles of complementarity, which I told a little while back also. If you have a positive charge center, it will interact with a negative charge center. If you have a hydrogen bond donor on the ligand, it will interact with an acceptor on the protein. So based on these kind of complementarities, you can actually do de novo design of the ligand, because we know that the amino acid residues and the functional groups on the ligand, they will interact in a complementary fashion. And the last quadrant, which is the second row and fourth column, carries of no use. You have no data actually. Then better go and sleep. But it's a rainy day here in Pune, and I don't know about Ghaziabad, but it's better to go have some cup of tea and go and sleep. Better idea. Now we will go ahead to the more interesting slides. This is actually the more about virtual screening. So actually, as I told you, whenever we are talking about prediction or screening of molecules, these are the kind of properties that we talk about. So there are 1D properties like property fingerprints, molecular fingerprints, for example. This is all one-dimensional. Okay, you can have two-dimensional. That means we are talking about topology, molecular graph, and all of that. Then we talk about 3D. Pharmacophore is the best example of 3D properties. That is in three-dimensional space. The actual molecular docking and the binding studies all are in 3D. And then there is also further to 3D, you have got conformations, you bring in conformations. I'm not getting into those kind of complexities, but basically what I'm trying to say is that virtual screening is a very important component in doing drug discovery. I won't get into this slide in details. You know all of this. Some interesting slide, snapshots of how the ligand binding inside the active site is shown with lots of colors. Those colors are actually different properties, just to give you an idea. And these are all taken from our software, molecular design. We know that we have a nice software called VLife Molecular Design Suite. These are just snapshots taken from there. So as all of us know that protein ligand molecule interactions, these are what we try to see over here is we try to see the best possible interaction, maximize the interaction between the ligand and the protein, and that will lead to overall minimum energy, which can be captured through docking score, for example. Then that is the drug, that is the protein ligand docking. In QSAR, for example, this is the, in QSAR actually, just a minute. Yeah, in QSAR, statistical modeling, we have a set of molecules whose structure is known, small molecules, or it could be also others, but here the protein is not explicitly there, but the biological activities of molecules are known from the lab, in vitro data, in vivo, whatever kind of data you take. And based on that, you develop statistical models, and and those are based on molecular descriptors. Descriptor means properties. So here the properties are very important. And then finally, you can get what is called as a contribution plot. You can see that graph. It shows some particular properties over there, like dipole moment, some particular sulfur count, and all of that, hydrogen bond acceptor count. These are typical, what shall I say, properties. And some of the properties you can see contributing in the negative direction. That means they have to be decreased. Some are in the positive direction. Some are very low. That means their contribution is low. After doing a QSAR, you would have to analyze such kind of, data to understand that which properties are contributing more than the others and take a call accordingly. Chemoinformatics is nothing but about database search. But before doing database search, you need to do, you need to have a hold on idea or grip about what kind of properties to utilize for doing the database search. So one of the best kind of properties that you can use for database search, which we use right, left, center for the industry work, whether it is pharma or non-pharma, is pharmacophore based properties, pharmacophoric properties. Why these are very important is these pharmacophoric properties actually come from directly the properties which are related related to good binding of the molecule inside the active site of the protein. Because it is related to the binding of the ligand in the active site, that's why these properties are extremely important. One of the best kind of properties that you can use for doing a database search. Okay, so I'll not get into the details of this. Now I will skip this. Then which competition? I told you that what to use where. What to use where will depend on certain parameters from the modeler's perspective. It should be fast and accurate. It should give you ideas for good design of molecules. You should, it should try to reduce the false positive and the false negative. That means the prediction accuracy should be high, failure should be less. This is the whole idea. Now, this is a very old slide, to be frank with you. But my colleague, Dr. Kundan Ingle, who was supposed to give, but he's not, he's busy with something else. So I was requested by Amit to give this presentation, and this slide is my very favorite and pet slide, PET, pet slide. You understand what I mean? I've been using it for the last 25 years of giving presentations. I never miss this slide. So on my people know it, so they have included it. But we have included some new things over there. So this is a very popular slide. I'm sure that Dr. Coutinho or somebody else might have also shown this slide, which shows that a large number of compounds getting filtered to a single, approved drug molecule. It's more easily said than done. Long number of years, lot of money involved, lot of failure rates, and after the 6.5 years of whatever modeling, etc., we do, and IND submission and approval by investigational new drug, IND approval by FDA, the entire clinical, that means the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 clinical trial, submission as a new drug application, NDA, and all of that is mandatory. You cannot shortcut any of that. But what I'm trying to say is this right side, you see, we have added a few more things. See, having done this exercise of drug discovery, you get inputs which are very important for even further work in formulation and development and stability. Because particularly when you are doing this clinical trials part, you will have inputs, you will get inputs which can be utilized for further applications, formulation development and stability, process development, metabolism, toxicity, and all this. These are all fallouts. When you do the clinical trials, these are fallouts. But each can become an independent area where a lot of further research work could be done and potential candidate molecules could be developed. Because ultimately, as I told you, the name of the game here is not just efficacy, but you have to look at all these parameters and ultimately optimize your drug molecule. Okay. Now, this is almost toward the end. So, so you see over here, since we talked about formulations, we want to just give an example. Since we talked about formulations in the earlier slide, I just want to give you an example how in formulations the method that we are talking about could become useful. And mind you, formulations is a very, very important aspect in the real world. So you know very well that in the pharma sector, there are both generic pharma companies as well as there are the drug discovery companies. Okay. Now, the generic pharma companies, they are very specific and they don't have time to do, wishy-washy kind of things. Okay. They don't have time. They don't want to look at any white elephants. So for them, formulation is a very important aspect because that is almost at the last stage. So we talk about drug product and drug substance, and we are talking about right now, we are talking about the drug product as a whole. It can be any form. It can be capsule, it can be tablet, injectable, IV, whatever. But when we are talking about the final drug product, it's a formulated concoction of a lot of things. Okay. Apart from the active pharmaceutical ingredient API, you also have many other things over there, right? Excipients, binders, additives, this, that, many things, carryover products in the entire ROS reaction scheme, etc., etc. I'm talking about in the generic world. There, you see, for example, if you want to employ ligand-based methods. So whenever we are talking about, I just now told you about toxicity. In toxicity itself, there are so many things. Genotoxicity is only one aspect, which is very important today. But there are other parameters like acute toxicity, cytotoxicity, clustogenicity, and there are so many. I can keep on talking about that. See, so if you want to study, just one example I'm giving you, similarly also for solubility, similarly also for stability and many other things. But these are all properties, right? So you can take that as a dependent variable and you can correlate it with independent variables, exactly what we do in QSAR. So that's why we have put it under ligand-based method. So predictions, ultimately what we are trying to say is that what kind of properties would fine-tune and give you the best possible, most efficacious and most efficient formulated drug product. So applications of QSAR would be very important. But let me tell you, having said that, you must always understand that what are the statutory warnings. Like you have statutory warning that being too much, today the statutory warning in the COVID world, the new norm so-called COVID world is you spend 24, you try to spend 48 hours in not 24, stretch 24 into 48 and spend the whole time online, right? So it has its own side effects, you know that very well, right? So you should understand that what is the safety levels. So why did I say that? Because it is one thing to do a QSAR on a set of nice molecules, antifungal molecules. You are trying to see its binding with lanosterol 14-alpha demethylase. It's one of the famous targets for antifungal work. As well, molecules nice. They've got nice IC50. All that is very nice. You get a nice paper out of that academic publication. But that is not the end of the story. Whenever we are talking about a formulated product, we are not talking about here of a single molecule and its activity. Okay. we are, or its corresponding property, whatever property we are talking about. In a formulated product, just to give you the complexity level, there are multiple components present over there. So it's a kind of a mixture QSR. It's not a single molecule QSR, and it's a very, very difficult exercise because the molecule A, when it is on its own isolated and you are doing a simple drug discovery kind of work and seeing its efficacy or solubility or whatever, at a time you are seeing one particular biological property variation. But here, there are multiple such components or molecules, and then they talk to each other. So here, the behavior of molecule A isolated and the molecule A, when it is in presence of 50 other candidate molecules in a mixture, is totally different. It's a very high level of stochasticity. So it's a very difficult challenge, okay, for the statistical modeling. It's a very difficult challenge. So I'm just trying to tell you what is the real life picture. It is not that everything is sweet coated, everything is not a candy. There are a lot of issues over here. So, but yes, it can be employed. There are mixture-based QSAR, a lot of publications and work being done. And that is a kind of QSAR that you cannot use the conventional QSAR that we use over in our drug discovery work, for example. Then you can also use docking. So since we talked about ligand-based and the structure-based, I'm just trying to bring those techniques and show you how those are important in a formulations kind of scenario. So when we are talking about docking-based, yes, usually you people are more used to studying target molecules or enzymes or proteins or whatever it is, and the binding of the small molecules. Here, there will not be, for example, in case of formulated products, we are not talking about proteins, but definitely we are talking about two molecules interacting with each other. Maybe one is the API itself, active pharmaceutical ingredient, other one is the excipient, for example. Okay, so drug excipient interactions. So we are talking about a complex. A complex need not be a protein ligand. Don't have this misconception. It's always a protein ligand complex. It could be any two molecules, an assembly. It's an adduct or an assembly which are talking to each other. And the name of the game, as I told you, in all kinds of drug discovery work is study the interactions. The bottom line is the interactions. Sadly, because of COVID-19, all interactions are now restricted to online, like what I'm doing also with you. These kind of things we used to do physically being present in front of you. Okay, but now everything is online. But that is the current scenario, and I hope things will pass over and we'll get back to normal and things will become more interactive. So I want to leave with only that message. Interaction is the key. Interaction is the most basic thing which leads to all other fallouts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any participants, if they have any questions, they may ask. So,
hello, sir.
There are no questions. Yes, sir. Sir, please ask your question.
Very good afternoon, sir. Very nice presentation, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, my question is, suppose I am working on a particular formulation work, and I have a particular new drug molecule, in which particularly there are few only no or very few products are there in the market. So for that particular purpose, what will be my consideration if I want to develop a new dosage form and introduce in the market?
Okay, can you just come again? Your question was too big. Just come again once again.
Suppose I have a drug molecule,
okay,
that has very few products in the market, one or two products only.
Okay.
But it has demand, and all the companies are trying to launch their tablet or capsule in the market, but they have not yet. They are actually launching. So if I want to develop a particular targeted dosage form on that particular formulation, then what chemistry I should study on that particular molecule?
So when you say chemistry, I mean it's a very generic term, but you see the ultimate idea is that for a formulated product, as I told you, that the scenario is a very quite complex and multifunctional. Okay, so the kind of properties that we would be talking about, or rather you should be looking at, are, for example, solubility. In fact, I mentioned this in our earlier slides. We talked about pKa. Okay, so pKpD, pKa. pKa solubility. These are the some of the parameters that you should actually have a look at. Stability may be also another aspect.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Dhanyavad, sir.
Yes, Dhanyavad. Thank you.
Question? Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Sir, actually, you told about lead hopping and lead optimization.
Yes.
We normally normally teach students that what is lead optimization, that we have to optimize the properties and all.
Yeah.
But what is lead hopping? I
Yeah.
really don't know.
Okay, I'll just tell you once again. This is, see, the point is that we are not just interested in, so you know very well that I don't want to use that word, but that is what is the word also being used by chemists. So because a few years back, me too was not a very nice word to use. But actually in chemistry, me too means that you have a set of molecules and you are trying to see similar molecules by changing the functional groups and all of that. And people do that. That is also one way of doing lead optimization. But that has a limited space of IP, because the point is that I was trying to tell you that whenever we look at the IP space, that means the novelty of the molecule in terms of application and the patent regime and all of that, you need a really novel, some novel aspect should be there in the structure of the molecule itself. It doesn't have to be me too all the time. That means you are changing. For example, you have a just before me, Professor Kutina was talking about some bromo compound and all of that. That means halogens, for example. Okay. And you have in your compound bromo and you change it to fluoro or chloro, and chemistry is well known. The periodic table itself will tell you how they behave, etc. And you get something out of it. But that is just, I would say, incremental step for novelty. But for example, let's say you get another molecule as a hit, which doesn't have a bromo. Who cares about the bromo? The scaffold itself is different. Maybe you had an aromatic bromo, but now you have totally a open chain alicyclic system. But there is good enough similarity of properties. They are not structurally similar, but they have their properties which are very, and ultimately we are interested in the properties. We are not bothered about the lookalikes here, which is me too. So if you want to address that, and if you want to really, work on that, because that has got a lot of novelty or, potential in terms of patents, then you should look at what is called as this search of, you look at appropriate chemical databases, but you are searching on the basis of the important properties. So just now I told you a few slides back, I told you that pharmacophoric features or properties are one of the best kind of properties that you can utilize for doing a chemical database search, because pharmacophoric properties are those properties which are directly related to the protein ligand binding, for example. So actually those properties are all coming out of the binding interaction between the protein and the ligand. Therefore, these pharmacophoric properties, if you are using, let's say you have a set of, let's take an example, you have 25 molecules or 30 molecules, okay, whose activity is known against a given target. And you generate or develop pharmacophore out of these 25 or 30 structures. Now, these pharmacophore, it will not be one, there will be several such pharmacophoric hypotheses. And each of those combinations of pharmacophores, you will see that the set of properties, we are interested in only the set of properties. Those set of properties should be common among your set of molecules, and that's how you generate the pharmacophores. Now you take maybe the best one or two pharmacophoric combinations that you have generated using whatever software I'm not really bothered about the software. But once you generate the pharmacophores, you can take maybe the best out of that first one, second one, third one, and do some chemical database searches. That means you are searching against PubChem or Zinc or chemical binding DB or whatever it is. You search a database, appropriate database with those properties, you will be able to harvest, you understand what I mean? Farming, harvest out molecules from that external database which are similar in properties to your molecules of interest. So you have these 20-25 molecules with that common pharmacophore, whatever you have developed, and you are using those features or properties to search molecules from the external chemical databases. Only the molecular hits will come on the basis of properties, not lookalikes. So you will definitely land up with lots of molecules which might have altogether different chemical scaffold or chemical, the moieties which are present. It is not just me too. So there, the novelty, because you might be starting with a certain aromatic system, you might be landing up with something else, maybe aromatic, but altogether different. Maybe a pyrazole system, but it has landed up with a altogether different aromatic system, present over there. So what I'm trying to say is that in that the chemistry of the molecule, the novelty of the chemical space explode, everything becomes much more promising, and that's what actually leads to more and more better patent space or patent coverage, which is very important for IP issues, IP rights.
Okay, fine, sir. Sir, one more question, sir. Can I ask one more question?
Yeah,
sir,
yeah.
I have recently read that this Novalid has developed one COVID drug, and that that is able to regenerate the cells which has already damaged by COVID. So, sir,
yes.
Can
so
you
actually,
tell me about that?
Actually, for this, yes, as I told you, I'll only say one thing: we have got a good amount of expertise in drug repurposing and repositioning, and so that's why this is the fallout of that, but I'm not the right person to talk because I don't work on that project. So you need to talk to the right person. You can talk to Amit and get connected to the appropriate people.
Fine, sir. Fine, sir. Thank you so much.
So Dr. Kundan, who was supposed to give in my place, is the right person. You can talk to him one-to-one on this. Yeah.
No problem, sir. We learned a lot from you, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a jack of all trades. Let me be a master of some of them if I can. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Any more questions? Mr. Paratpar Sarkar, you can unmute yourself. Sir, please little louder.
Am I audible, ma'am?
No, yeah, your voice is coming from Mars, it seems, or Jupiter. You be a bit louder.
Please come back to Earth.
Am I audible, sir?
No, still you are absolutely, light years away from us.
I had full sound.
Then unfortunate, the internet is giving us trouble.
Sir, please text us. We will read for you.
You can chat with
fine.
you.
Chat, but I am able to hear your voice properly. Chat box.
But sir, we need to hear the question first to answer it.
Chat box is.
Sir, you can send in the WhatsApp group. I'll read the question out to sir. No problem.
Okay.
The one point which I truly liked about your presentation is about the way you emphasized on QSAR, because that is the zest of computer-aided drug design, and with the fascinating structures and all that, everybody is towards the docking, simulation. So that only makes everyone interested in CAD. But the real the thing which is required for the market or for the health sector is the ligand-based drug design.
Yeah. I mean, both are important in their own space. Both are important depending on the application.
But the ligand-based is quite neglected because of the way people think that it is all theoretical. It is theoretical because of that.
Yeah, actually, having spent our majority time in drug discovery, we are very aware of this. That's why I paused there and tried to give you the real picture.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for giving that scenario, explaining
sir,
that.
I got the question from Dr. Paratpar Sarkar. Okay. His question is, can we go for drug repurposing for COVID? I guess we already done that.
Yes, we can.
Already.
Sir,
whatever drugs you are hearing in the market and you are all drug repurposed drugs basically, meant for some application. And now, if I still remember, in the earlier times, hydroxychloroquine was being used. That was actually meant for some other application. I think malaria, right?
Malaria.
And then
malaria,
yes. That it has good applications here. So almost all the drugs in COVID are repurposed drugs.
Sir, there is one small query that is generated. So the query is during this COVID treatments, people were given azithromycin, doxycycline, right, to prevent the comorbidities the pneumonia, right?
Yeah.
Sir, so how would we qualify this? Like, this is also drug repurposing, or this is a separate condition for which we have used the drug? Because it is not directly treating or acting on the COVID virus. They are treating they can't. They are treating the comorbidities. So can we say that this is also drug repurposing?
Yes, definitely it is drug repurposing. So the primary purpose was to address the cytokine storms and the COVID part as usual. But the point is that they of course I'll tell you one more thing. When we see drug repurposing, it is not for only one therapeutic application that it gets repurposed for. There may be several. Only thing is the degree to what extent or what degree to which it addresses these different areas might be different. So if it is more than one area that it is actually showing potency, yes, that is even better. That is much better than just being applicable for COVID. If it is treating pneumonia and other things, those are all that means the potent areas where its drug repurposing is effective. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
It is not all. It's a band. It's a band of therapeutic areas which everybody looks into, not just one.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. This was my question.
Yeah. Welcome. Yeah.
Sir, can I ask anything apart from this, general?
Yeah. Tell me. Yeah.
Sir, could you tell us about your educational qualifications also? Because because you're principals, we are from pharmacy background and also.
Yeah, no, so mine is not pharmacy. I'm a hardcore chemist. My PhD was in organometallic chemistry, as you have seen from my
Yes.
background from IIT. And then, but the thing is that I worked for about 3 or 4 years in Novartis R&D Center in Bombay, and that was also synthetic chemistry, organic chemistry, of course. But later on, from 99 onwards, I shifted to molecular modeling because I found that this is a place where domain people like me would be, very appropriate, because as I told you a few slides back, we talked about synthetic accessibility. So synthetic accessibility means you can design any exotic molecule with a fantastic profile in terms of activity and everything else, toxicity low, but that molecule may be very difficult to synthesize, multi-step synthesis. It involves total dry atmosphere, glove box, length lines. Now, these are not good for academic purposes. It's not good for an industry. So the point is that the synthetic chemistry domain expertise was very useful for me when I shifted to the modeling back in 99. And from then on, I have not looked back. I have been in modeling because with that real life experience on the lab, things become quite, the perspectives become much, different. So this is also carried very much by the medicinal chemist. Dr. Kundan is a medicinal chemist. He also shares the same, the same sentiments with me on this.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you
if
so
there are no
much,
further
sir.
questions.
Any more questions?
Yeah, just add
Yes,
on to
Mr.
this,
Ramesh.
just wanted to tell that if any of the participant would like to use our demo version, they can put the request on our website. So we provide a 15 days demo version, which have all the modules, both docking as well as QSAR,
Yes.
and they can use it for their research purposes.
It is with the same name, sir. It is with VLife MDS only, na? Or have
Yeah,
you done
VLife
it?
MDS, VLife MDS.
Okay. Oh.
The site is separate.
So that is a very right, sir.
Yeah, vlifesciences.com.
Yeah, I will share that in the WhatsApp group to the participants. VLife MDS. It is our own Indian computer-aided drug design software, and having a number of applications are available with it, right from QSAR, 3D QSAR, docking. So various features are there. So if you want to try that, you can access the website of VLife Sciences, and you can request for the demo version of it.
Yeah, only just addition is that if you are a student, please try to send it through your faculty, because what happens is we get multiple requests from a single institute, and
Single institute.
Yeah, then it's actually becomes unmanageable.
Right.
So try to send it through your
Most of
faculty.
the here are faculty members, sir. It is for faculty, so most of them are faculty members.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for adding this information for the participants. So you can use this software also, and you can learn the new features of the software.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ramesh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So
Ma'am,
just a minute, sir.
certificate.
Sir, Sami, sir, please be here for a minute. Roma, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Kindly provide the remarks and kindly hand over the certificate to sir.
Sure, ma'am, sure. Thank you, Dr. Sami, for a wonderful presentation. It was very insightful, informative, and extremely knowledgeable session, sir.
Thank you.
For sharing profound knowledge on the use of CAD and different types of methodologies. Your session has truly enlightened our participants, and we have taken a lot of learnings from the session, just regarding the changing paradigm of repurposing and repositioning, the difference between both of them, how the molecules should be shortlisted, what should be the goals of drug discovery. You told us about many drug discovery months, that we should know which computer technology to use in what particular criteria. So we are indeed very grateful to you for sparing your valuable time.
Most welcome.
I'm sure that our participants must have benefited from this session, and they can definitely explore these CAD tools and take your help. And the session has really ignited our minds and to think about our careers in CAD. So we are very, very grateful to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. So on behalf of Kite School Pharmacy, Kite Group of Institutions, I, Dr. Roma Ghai, would like to present you a certificate of appreciation as a token of respect and gratitude. Kindly accept it, sir. Kindly accept.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you once again, sir.
Thanks. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Would like to listen to you once again, sir.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yes,
I
sir.
think you should also listen to Dr. Kundan because he is also equally exhilarating and scintillating. You must have that also at some time. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
So with this end of the technical session 3 for day 5, now I will announce the lunch break for all the participants. And before proceeding for the lunch break, I will like to inform you that from 2:30 to 3 p.m. we will be having the online quiz, which is an essential requirement to get issued the certificate from AICT. So all be prepared at 2:30 p.m. And the
Vaishali ma'am, you are not audible. Vaishali ma'am, you are
will
not
be
audible.
shared in WhatsApp group or sending it by email. Yes, sir.
You are not audible. Your voice is cracking.
Okay, might be the network issue, sir.
Probably.
So you can announce, sir, please, on my behalf.
Okay.
You
So,
please announce.
dear participants, now we are breaking for lunch, and from 2:30 we will have the online assessment of the FDP. The quiz form will be available only from 2:30 to 3 p.m. No further extensions will be there, and after the valedictory session, we will be sharing the attendance sheet, and if any participant like if they have just a second